I am retired, 80 years old, and I have pensions. And I have been interested in what is happening to Wall Street and wondering how it might affect my pensions. My question is, can Congress do anything to help protect us in these situations?
Eleanor, that's an excellent question. I think, as I mentioned earlier, we're all very concerned about those issues. There are things that Washington can do. We do have in Congress the ability to pass laws, as I said before, appropriate oversight of institutions that are investing your money. We need to go back to an era of appropriate oversight. And I think we also need to look at, again, repealing the Bush tax cuts for the wealthy and ending the war in Iraq so that the money that we do have available in this economy can be put to use solving the problems we have here at home.
Just to clarify a point that Mrs. Kryzan's talking about, the U.S. Treasury Department came out with statistics last year. In 2007, a family of 4 that made $40,000, if we were to repeal these tax cuts, their taxes would go up $2,345. So it goes across. That's not a lot of money, and that for someone making $40,000, that's a tough amount of money to live on. But having to pay an additional $2,300 is very painstaking. So I'm very much opposed to increasing taxes on this country right now when we're in a very dire fiscal circumstance.
In May, you declined to answer a basic question posed by the Buffalo News, whether there should be a right to abortion. And just recently, you would not answer questions regarding your view of the bailout package before Congress. Again, a basic topic addressed by all other congressional candidates in the area. Granted, you have since answered at least some of these questions. But can voters expect that as a member of Congress, you will simply refuse to answer legitimate questions about key issues?
Bob, you and I I remember sitting down in May, and we did talk about the abortion issue. At the point, you were asking me to try to define this in 2 words. I said it's a very complex issue. I was unwilling to define it in 2 words because there are multiple circumstances on that. With the issue of the bailout, I've been very clear from day one. I was for making sure we have liquidity in the market to protect our citizens, their pensions, their 401k, their savings. So I've been very clear in the fact that I want to ensure that the government steps in and tries to support Wall Street so we can ensure that we're protecting people's assets.
Ms. Kryzan, on this question, you have a minute.
Well, I believe that Chris Lee has been missing in action in this campaign. It's been almost impossible to find out where he stands on any of the issues of importance to us. He mentions his position on the bailout. Well, he gave us his position on the bailout on Saturday, 5 days after Congress had been in turmoil trying to decide what to do. I've run my campaign from the beginning on the issues. I've tried to be as clear and as straightforward with people as I can be on where I stand on those issues. I tell everyone everywhere I go, you may not like what I say, and you may not even like me for saying it, but you're going to know where I stand on the issues. I think the voters deserve that, and especially in a race like this, where you have 2 candidates running for an open seat who don't have a long track record in politics or in the public eye. So ask me any question you want. I'm happy to answer it. I'm happy to let the voters know where I stand.
Bob McCarthy, follow up here?
Yeah, Mr. Lee, how would you have voted on the bailout package?
I was for it. And to finish up, though, for Mrs. Kryzan, I've been in this race 7 months. She's been in this race well over a year. But I've talked to a lot of people in the district and said she's been MIA going around the 7 counties. I've made sure that I've gone and spoken to farmers and small business owners. There's a big difference between what she's been doing and what I've been doing. If you go to our website, you can get full documentation, many editorials written up on what my policy statements are.
Ms. Kryzan, you have 30 seconds here if you'd like it.
Well, I think one of the big differences between Chris and I in terms of getting out to see the voters is I have to spend most hours of every day calling people to raise money for my campaign. I don't have a big campaign war chest. I don't have a $50 million or $350 million or I can't count that many millions of dollars in a bank account to bankroll my campaign. I have to work hard every day, just like everyone out in the 26th district does, to earn the money to get my message out to the voters. And I regret the fact that I can't be out there more than I've been. But Chris, you're not reading my website, because if you were reading my website, you would know I've been all over this district for the last year.
Ms. Kryzan, I know the city of Rochester does not fall into this district, but the revitalization of it is important to people, particularly in the eastern portion of the district. So I want to ask you about a project there called Renaissance Square. I want to know how familiar you are with that project and if you would support continued use of federal funding for it.
Well, I have to admit, Julie, that I am not very familiar with the Renaissance Square project. I know that it's a project that is somewhat controversial out in the eastern part of the district, and I need to become more familiar with it to give you an honest answer of where I would stand on it. So I don't want to make something up here on the fly. I'd be happy to talk to you later about it, and certainly to people in the eastern part of the district who have opinions on it, I'd love to talk to them about it too.
Mr. Lee, on this question?
Well, that's a great case in point, because the Renaissance Square has been an issue that's been discussed for years, and it's a vital part for downtown Rochester, both from a transportation center, for a community college, and for cultural reasons. And that's the difference between Alice Kryzan and myself. I've been out and I've talked to the county executive about this issue and ensuring that projects like this can help develop downtown Rochester. But one last point, Alice Kryzan has already, outside special interests have already committed well over $1 million to do personal attack ads on me. I'm the one who's been going out and trying to raise funds. But if you look at Alice's financial statements, her income and her net worth is very similar to what mine is. So I think she's off base on her comments.
Next question, let's go to Mark Leitner from WN.
In your TV campaign ads, one of the words you use to describe Alice Kryzan is liberal. My question is two-pronged. How would you define liberal, and how would you define yourself?
Sure. I consider myself a fiscal conservative. I don't believe that we should be sending more money to Washington. Mrs. Kryzan got through the primary without really having to define herself. But she's been out publicly on the record saying that she wants higher taxes. She wants more government. She wants a socialized medicine in this country. Everything that those are words that I connotate with liberal, where you're getting the government more involved. I'm a believer that the private sector can do it better, more efficiently, and save taxpayers' monies. That's the big difference between, that's how I would define her in this case.
Well, again, Chris has apparently failed to actually review what my stand is on the issues. I too am a fiscal conservative. Like everybody out there in my district and in this community, I have to sit around the table with my husband and work out a budget, and I understand what it means to work hard, earn your way through life, have to save for what you want. I'm a fiscal conservative, and if that's not part of his definition of liberal, then he should stop calling me that. And as far as medicine is concerned, I've never used the term socialized medicine, nor do I believe in socialized medicine. Chris Lee wants to let the free market reign over your health care. And if you like the way Wall Street is treating your finances right now, you're going to love the way Chris Lee's program for medical care is going to affect your health. I think that the government has an important role to play in making our lives better. And I think that we need to find that proper role for government and make sure it works for us.